Amudo has gone beyond that to, also not just sit down and wait for people. We have internally generated fund. You know, it may interest you to know that Amudo have an agricultural farm.
Earlier on in this conversation made mention of like transporting these individuals back, the economic difficulties and the poor infrastructures that even hinders the operations of what Amodo is trying to accomplish. So is that something you can maybe shed more light on and see, and even talk about what are some of the likely solutions to these problems that is and these challenges that Amodo faces?
Yeah, it adds to the the cost, the poor infrastructure we have, infrastructure, roads particularly. Our roads are not good, and sometimes you are traveling to the hinterland to take somebody back. Um, if you come to Amudo, one of the challenges we face is the mobility. Trying to maintain vehicles, breakdown of vehicles, and you can't travel with somebody. You don't know where the person come from with the public transport, and it doesn't also give respect to that person. You remember, we are protecting the dignity of this person. When you are in a public transport, if there is any kind of, because this person is still in the process of rehabilitation, if there is any issue that have to do with the symptoms of the illness, the passengers, others will become, so we protect this person's dignity, so that is why you have to use a specialized system of transport, which is our own means of transport which we have. But it's quite enormous. Now, you can imagine what it will cost us to fill a distance from one state to the other. And in any case, if the team that have traveled are going to lodge in a hotel, because they may not come back the same day, they may not come back. Imagine when you are taking somebody from Abia State to Edo State, the team cannot come back that day. So you see, these are all the issues. Sometimes you go to, the person is not from the urban center, you are now going to trace to the rural community. So the cost of home tracing, both in the safety aspect of it, and of course in the cost of transport like fuel and break breakdown of vehicle, is quite enormous. And we have to have the vehicle ready to travel. It's not an excuse. So it's quite cost effective. And you also know that if you look at where it has to do, even within the Amudo Center, the remote environment, the road is still not good. Accessing the center is still not good. So cost of movement of is quite challenging. During the COVID-19, it was a huge challenge. That is when we learned the impact of emergency situation on mental health. You understand? During the COVID-19, there was lockdown, and what happened then was that the focus was on the COVID-19 patients and how to protect the other population. But what of these other vulnerable population, like people who have mental health problem? Who was thinking about whether they were getting their medication? Who was thinking about what was happening around them? And there was a time I had to force myself out because one of our clients needed medicine, and there was lockdown, but we have to take medicine to that person. So you can imagine what that means. So these are all the things. Now you talk about insecurity. You need to be safe to carry out the job. But now you see that sometimes there is no movement. And when there is no movement, somebody is suffering somewhere. So it is quite, these are social variables, that we look at. Now we see what it takes, when it comes to mental health care. It's quite huge. Apart from the medicine is not the issue. The social and environmental factors are very huge and key. And environmental and social issue is that when there is an environment and a society that is disabling, it affects the person's health. Because our society here is very disabling. We have a disabling environment, So no acceptance and all these things that we have said. And you see how it affects even intervention. So that is the issue. So, but Amudo have been there, So when vehicles break down that they are no longer repairable, how do we get a new vehicle? It's a big challenge. For instance, now we are looking for a new vehicle, and it's quite enormous. It's a challenge for us to get because our vehicles are all just hillock vehicles because of the rough terrain of where we travel. But that's a huge challenge. It used to be very cost effective, but now, and if you pick a smaller vehicle that within 2 or 3 years it will just break down and you start afresh. So mental health care is, but then that this is something that government can easily do. Individuals who are very rich can easily give it out without even minding, but you know they need to be touched to reach out to people who have mental health.
I fundamentally believe that there are genuine people in the world who are willing to offer help and assistance. It just takes helping them and pointing them to the right direction. I believe in the humanity of every individual. I believe in the humanity of Nigerians, and I believe, and that's part of the reason why we actually think platforms like this are very, very important to give light and to not to offer platform, but to enhance the voices, right, of amazing and very, very important work like yours and what Amudo is doing to the public. So to see how individuals can actually take steps and take action, right? People are truly waiting for that calling, that thing that calls deep down within them to actually let the best out of them come out. They just need the opportunity. And I'm truly, truly hoping that conversations like this, and especially these conversations, can open the hearts of people to actually do something about this thing. So we're talking about, we understand that you're just talking about funding, and it's a no-brainer that funding plays a crucial role in sustaining Amudo's initiative. So can you shed light on the types of local and foreign partnership that supports Amudo's initiative?
Yeah, Amudo have been, privileged and, to leverage on goodwill, because the work we have done has touched a lot of lives, and the goodwill of people has really helped. You know, Formerly, when the economy of Nigeria was very good in the 80s and the 90s and the early 20s, we were getting donation from people, individuals, donation in kind. What I mean by kind, some people can give you rice, for the food of those people, and then donation in cash also. But the economy has become very bad. So that is one aspect of our, source of income, goodwill. We have enjoyed the goodwill of people. People can call on radio, Amudo, we have something for you. You know, that has been a very strong source. And what, brought the goodwill is the impact, is the result that people are seeing. People see you on the streets going to take somebody, and we don't discharge in the secret. When we are discharging, we invite people to come and see, that what we are doing is real and we are impacting the life of people. So it has been that drew the goodwill of the people towards Amudo. However, the other aspect is that we have also gotten some support from corporate organizations, that came up to say, okay, where do we help you? And once in a while, they are able. But within this time, also in Nigeria, political issues have encroached into corporate affairs and social responsibility. We are now seeing corporate institutions going to fund governments. When a corporate institution is going to say we are buying vehicle for government, I laugh. You know, I mean, that's what we are seeing. Corporate institutions saying we are going to, fund government. I mean, well, they may have their reason, but I think the essence of corporate social responsibility is not going to fund the government. Is to, look out for places or institutions like Amudo, and even individuals who you think that they can be touched by that corporate responsibility, and that you can make a change within the life of humanity. You see, so that is it. But it has been there in the past, but recently, politically, That is what we are seeing now, and we hope that that will change. But like what you said, we still believe that there are corporate institutions that still have the cause of humanity in their plan, and we hope that they will keep doing what they're doing. The other aspect is that Abia state government has already helped us very well, because this program began in Abia state, and the state government has been paying subvention to Amudo, to help Amudo to succeed because of the community mental health which we are running with the state government, and it has also helped Amudo to continue to function. Now, Methodist Church Nigeria, which is the mother of this the project, has also supported Amudo by, some staff are paid by Methodist Church Nigeria. That takes away the burden of staff salaries, from Amudo. So that Methodist Church is doing that, and some oftentimes we have other churches, including Methodist Church Nigeria, their women group calling Amudu to come and take some donations in kind. And that has also, because when a Catholic women organization, Methodist Women Fellowship, they call you, they give you bags of rice, you know what that means, and other, denominations. So the church has also played a role in this case. And then we have the place of the Amaudo UK, which is a committee of those who have worked with Sister Rosalind Colville when she was in Nigeria. Now they went back and organized themselves, led by Kate Lumley, and put themselves together to say, what do we do to continue to support Amudo, where we have gone to work at one time or the other, and so from there we have the Amudo UK, which is a support organization helping Amudo in training and, of course, in raising funds for some basic issues and projects. So these are the ways that Amudo have it. Now, Amudo has gone beyond that to, also not just sit down and wait for people. We have internally generated fund. It may interest you to know that Amudo have an agricultural farm where we cultivate our cassava, because gari is a staple food which these people eat.
Yeah.
So we don't buy gari from the market. Through the year, we harvest our own gari. So you can imagine when we are the one, cultivating our gari, because we don't need to keep waiting. And we are talking
Yes.
about dignity here. How do you take somebody? You said they were begging on the street. Now, how do you take somebody to the church or to the somewhere and say, help us? Unless when they are touched. So it's also reducing their dignity. So what we did is to roll out our farm project at the community where we are. And we have our cassava, which we are producing, and is sustainable. This aspect of sustaining the what we are doing, that we are not just looking at. We produce our own palm oil, the red oil that we use. Amudo uses close to 60 liters of oil in a month in the residential center, and we don't buy it from the market. We produce it. We have milling machine at Amudo. We have gari processing at Amudo. And beyond that, Amudo has a poultry farm where we also have birds that we raise to add to the value of protein and the food, the nutrition of the residents that are going there. Eggs are produced from the poultry farm. So these are the areas that Amudo has leveraged to see that we don't just wait for the people to be given us. So if you calculate the cost of gari for 1 year, and you calculate the cost of red oil for 1 year, and other basic little areas that we are raising for, you see that the aspect of sustainability of this project has been established.
Yeah. It is also the media's responsibility. I fundamentally believe that, to continue to shed light on these type of stories, to bring it to the faces of Nigerians, to bring it to our screens, for us to know that such initiatives are happening in places, and people can begin to see how they can continue to support. So on the issue of support, right, for people who may be listening, right, who are considering supporting Amudo's efforts, are there any like unique fundraising events or activities that they can participate in? Or other than that, like how can people actually support the work being done in Amudo?
Um, yes, what we do is to appeal to people to support, because the support has to be regular. Sometimes you may take up a little support issue, like if you decide to provide food for the people who are undergoing rehabilitation at Amaudo for 1 month, which the cost is put about 3 million naira. If we put everything together, you say, okay, I want to give them food for 1 month, about 65 people who are undergoing rehabilitation, for to feed them 3 times in a day for 1 month, and you know that what that means. So if somebody can take up that. Somebody can also say, okay, I want to give their medication for 1 month, which is roughly at the cost of 300,000 naira. Somebody can say, okay, I will do that for 1 month. And somebody can say, I can buy them provision, for 1 month. Somebody can say, I can buy diesel that is used in running, because Amudo has offices, like what I'm doing now, I'm using power. So the generator is burning. So somebody can say, yes, I can do that for Amudo. And how much does this cost? About 120,000 naira to purchase diesel for us to even give lights at the center, because there is no electricity. So these are areas that somebody can also say, okay, like now we are expanding the water in Amudo. Somebody can say, okay, can I also assist in this? Somebody developed a student hostel, modern student hostel block that cost close to 55 million naira. The Bloom Health Foundation came to Amudo, and they realized that what Amudo is doing to train student nurses is quite, very good. And they felt that, why don't we help you to develop a modern student hostel block where the student can stay and be accommodated? And that hostel is there now. You may see it in your where the student nurses. So these are aspects that can you buy a generator, soundproof generator for Amudo to enable lights to be there? Can you enable lights to be there? Can you one thing or the other? So there are a lot, but basically where it can impact the life of the residents who are undergoing rehabilitation, and of course help us to work. Yeah,
Yeah, and help you guys maybe expand the amount of
yeah,
people that are being rehabilitated in a year. Another
exactly.
thing, I
I didn't mention the issue of mobility. It's very key,
yeah,
key.
yeah,
We
yeah,
have the issue of mobility. I know that somebody can say, okay, Amudo, I want to give you 1 hilos. I mean, it will go a long way to help us. Since the inception of Amudo, that's the vehicle, because it is durable, and that is what we use to rough roads. And I think somebody can say, okay, we can do that for you. And I think it's quite welcomed. It shouldn't
yeah.
be only our foreign partners. Anytime we talk about huge cost intensive project, we start looking outside. I believe that there are people in Nigeria that can do that for us.
Yeah, I would leave the accounts for the donations on the screen. I would also put it on the what's it called, in the caption, or in I'll attach it to this episode, because I recently had Adenike on this podcast. Adenike is somebody who had a terrible experience with cancer when she was very young, and it led to the amputation of one of her legs. She actually runs an initiative called Amputees Initiative. I would really encourage people to go check it out. She gave a powerful TED talk where she talked about anybody can become a philanthropist, and she talked about it's the simple fact that you don't necessarily have to be the one giving, but by sharing a post, by doing your research, by telling somebody about what's going on in places like Amudo, you're actually contributing. You never might know who will pick it up, right? That simple WhatsApp post, Instagram retweets, Instagram repost or retweet on Twitter, or simply by just telling the next person around you. And one of the most important thing I really, really like about Amudo is the simple fact that there are records from each year that has been put out to the public for everybody to see. This is one of the most significant thing I
Exactly.
found out when I was doing research on you guys, and it's on your website. I would also leave the link to your
Exactly.
website on here, so people can also go and do their research fundamentally, not just take your word for it, but also educate themselves and see if this is something they can actually you can see ways they can actually help. And talking about donations, it doesn't necessarily have to be the bigger things, like a simple
Exactly.
1,000 naira, 500 naira being sent to the account would go a long way. So we don't necessarily need to feel small or feel like, oh, our little impact doesn't matter. It still goes a long way. And I think people really need to
Sure.
understand that fundamental thing that Adenike said, that everybody can become a philanthropist. Everybody. She talked about a situation whereby a child had cancer when the child was when the child was came to this world, when they gave birth to the child, and they reached out to her, but she couldn't do anything. But she just reached out to other people, right? Posted it, and within the end of the day, they were able to raise a significant amount of money, and that child was able to undergo surgery. So it's the simple fact that you may not necessarily, you don't feel powerless or don't feel like you can't do anything about the situation by telling a friend, "Oh, I listened to this today," or "I saw this," by retweeting it, by reposting it, by going to the websites and even looking at what they are doing would actually help inform your decision and drive that passion in you to do something. So I would really, really like to appeal to the conscience of individuals that they can actually do something. It doesn't